Janelle Brooks had been free for exactly 6 months and 14 days when Trevor found her again. She knew because she'd been counting. Every morning, every night, every moment she woke up without his hand on her throat or his voice telling her she was worthless. 184 days of breathing without permission. And now he was standing in the Charleston street outside the estate where she worked, leaning against his Mercedes with that smile that had once made her feel special and now made her skin crawl. She'd been taking out the trash. A simple task. 30 seconds outside the safety of the walls. That's all it took. Janelle, Trevor called. Not loud. He never was loud in public. That was part of his skill. We need to talk. She turned to go back inside. His hand caught her wrist. Not hard enough to leave a mark. He'd learned that years ago. Just hard enough to stop her. Don't walk away from me. I drove 4 hours to see you. The least you can do is let her go. The voice came from the gate. Janelle looked up. Dominic Kane stood in the estate entrance, 6'3" of controlled danger in a suit that probably cost more than Trevor's car. His gray-green eyes were fixed on Trevor's hand on Janelle's wrist with the focus of a man calculating exactly how many bones he could break before anyone intervened. "This is a private conversation," Trevor said. But his hand loosened slightly. "Not on my property, it's not." Dominic stepped forward. "You're touching my employee without her consent. That makes it my business. Remove your hand or I'll remove it for you." Trevor's smile tightened. "I'm her husband. I have every right to—" "Ex-husband," Janelle said. Her voice was shaking but clear. "We've been separated for 6 months. Separated is not divorced, baby. We're still married. Legally. Which means you need to come home and stop this childish." Dominic moved. Fast. Professional. His hand closed around Trevor's wrist and applied pressure with surgical precision. Trevor gasped and released Janelle. "Here's what's going to happen," Dominic said, his voice perfectly calm. "You're going to get in your car. You're going to drive back to wherever you came from. And you're not going to come near this property or Janelle again. Are we clear? Do you know who I am?" Trevor's face was red. "My family has connections in the city. Legal connections. I can make your life I'm Dominic Kane," Dominic said. "Look me up. Then decide if you really want to threaten me." Something shifted in Trevor's expression. Recognition. Fear. He pulled his hand free and stepped back. "This isn't over, Janelle," he said. "You're my wife. You took vows. I'm not letting you go." He got in his car and drove away. Janelle stood in the Charleston heat, shaking, waiting for her legs to remember how to work. "Inside," Dominic said gently. "Now. Before you collapse." She made it 3 steps before her knees gave out. He caught her before she hit the ground and carried her into the estate like she weighed nothing. And that was how it started. The moment Janelle Brooks stopped running alone and found someone willing to stand between her and the man who thought he owned her. If you want to know what happens when a survivor finds sanctuary with the most dangerous man in Charleston and what she discovers about her own strength in the process, keep reading. Because this story is about to become a war. And this time, she's not fighting alone. 6 months earlier, Janelle had left in the middle of the night with 1 suitcase and $300 she'd hidden in the lining of her winter coat over 2 years. She'd married Trevor Montgomery at 18. He'd been 25. Charming. Wealthy. From one of Atlanta's oldest families. He'd told her she was beautiful. Special. That he'd take care of her forever. The first time he hit her was 3 months after the wedding. He'd apologized. Cried. Bought her jewelry. Said it would never happen again. It happened again 2 weeks later. And again. And again. By year 2, Janelle had learned the rules. Don't contradict him. Don't look at other men. Don't have friends. Don't leave the house without permission. Don't exist loudly. By year 5, she'd almost believed him when he said she was worthless. Stupid. Lucky he stayed with her. By year 7, she'd started planning her escape. It took her 2 more years to execute it. To gather money. To research domestic violence resources. To find a city far enough away where his family's influence wouldn't reach. Charleston, South Carolina. 4 hours from Atlanta. Big enough to disappear, small enough to find work. She'd changed her name on paper, filed for legal name change, reverted to her maiden name Brooks. She'd applied for jobs under that name. She'd rented a room in a boarding house that didn't ask questions. For 6 months, she'd been invisible, safe,
Free.
and then Trevor found her. If you're enjoying this story and want to see what happens next, please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to us as we continue bringing these stories to life. She'd taken the job at the Kane estate 3 months into her Charleston life. The pay was exceptional. The household was private. The work was straightforward. She'd met Dominic Kane exactly once before the Trevor incident, her interview. He'd been direct, professional, and slightly intimidating in the way powerful men often were. "You have hotel experience," he'd said, reviewing her resume. "Why private household? I prefer the consistency, the structure."
True.
She'd learned to love structure after 9 years of chaos. "You're overqualified for this position. I'm looking for stability, not advancement." Also true. He'd studied her for a moment. "You're running from something." Her heart had stopped. I don't need details. Everyone who works for me is running from something. That's fine. As long as you're not bringing danger to my door, what you're running from is your business." He'd offered his hand. "Welcome to the household, Ms. Brooks." She'd taken the job. She'd been careful, quiet, invisible, until Trevor showed up and made her visible again. After the encounter, Dominic had taken her to the estate's sitting room, made her tea, waited until her hands stopped shaking before he spoke. "How long were you married?" he asked. 9 years. "How bad was it?" Janelle looked at the tea. "Bad enough that I spent 2 years planning to leave. Bad enough that I still flinch when someone raises their voice. Bad enough that her voice broke." "You don't have to explain," Dominic said. "I understand bad enough." "Why?" She looked up at him. "Why would you understand? My mother was married to a man like yours. My biological father. He put her in the hospital 3 times before she finally left. I was 6. His voice was matter of fact. "She raised me and my brother alone. Taught us that real strength is protecting people who can't protect themselves. That the worst kind of coward is the one who hurts someone weaker." "I'm sorry," Janelle said. "Don't be sorry. Be ready. Because if Trevor Montgomery is anything like you're implying, he's not going to give up after one confrontation. He's going to come back. With lawyers. With custody claims. With every weapon his family's money can buy." Dominic leaned forward. "So, I need to know, do you want to keep running or do you want to fight?" "I don't know how to fight him. He has money, lawyers, connections." "So do I," Dominic said. "Better ones. The question is whether you trust me enough to help you." Janelle looked at this man she barely knew. This crime lord who had just defended her against her abuser without hesitation. This stranger who understood bad enough. "Why would you help me?" "Because I can," he said simply. "And because someone should have helped my mother sooner than they did. Consider this me paying that debt forward." Trevor's first move. The papers arrived 4 days later, hand-delivered by a process server to the estate gates. Emergency custody petition. Filed in Atlanta Family Court.
Trevor Montgomery Tunnel Montgomery.
Grounds: abandonment, mental instability, flight from marital home without notice. Relief requested: immediate return of spouse to marital home, court-ordered counseling, restriction on out-of-state travel. It was legal kidnapping dressed as marital reconciliation. Marcus Kane, Dominic's younger brother and the family's legal counsel, reviewed the papers with the expression of someone who'd seen every trick and wasn't impressed. "It's aggressive but not unusual for someone with money," Marcus said. "He's gaming the system. Filed in Atlanta, where his family has influence. Claiming you're mentally unstable, so any resistance looks like proof. Requesting immediate relief so you don't have time to build a proper defense." "Can he win?" Janelle asked. Her voice was steady, but her hands weren't. "Not if we're smarter, which we are." Marcus pulled out a legal pad. "First, We file for divorce in South Carolina. Establish residency. Claim jurisdiction. Second, we document everything. Every bruise you ever hid. Every hospital visit. Every time he isolated you from family. We build a case not just for divorce, but for restraining order with teeth. I don't have evidence, Janelle said. I never reported anything. I was too scared. We'll find it, Dominic said. Medical records. Witnesses. Something. And what do I do in the meantime? While he's telling a judge I'm crazy. You stay here, Dominic said. Under protection. You don't go anywhere alone. You don't engage with him or his lawyers. You let us handle the legal war. I can't hide here forever, Janelle said. You're not hiding, Dominic corrected. You're strategically positioning yourself somewhere he can't reach. There's a difference. What they found. Marcus worked fast. Within a week, he'd uncovered emergency room records from years 2, 4, and 6 of Janelle's marriage. Falls. Accidents. Walked into a door. All with injuries consistent with domestic violence that no one had questioned. Testimony from a former Montgomery housekeeper who'd witnessed Trevor throwing Janelle against a wall. She'd been fired the next day and threatened with legal action if she spoke. Bank records showing Trevor had controlled every dollar. Janelle had no credit cards, no bank account in her name, no financial autonomy. A restraining order filed by Trevor's previous girlfriend. Dropped after the Montgomery family paid her an undisclosed sum. He's done this before, Marcus said, spreading the evidence on Dominic's desk. The previous girlfriend. Same pattern. Charm, control, violence, legal intimidation when she tried to leave. Can we use this? Janelle asked. We can try. But the Montgomery family buried it well. They're going to fight discovery. Claim privilege. Drag it out. Marcus looked at her. How far are you willing to go? Because this gets ugly.
Public.
Everything you survived becomes court record. Your trauma becomes evidence. Are you ready for that? Janelle thought about 9 years of silence, of believing she deserved it, of being told no one would believe her. I'm ready, she said. Trevor escalates. He showed up at the estate again 2 weeks later, this time with a sheriff's deputy and court papers. Mrs. Montgomery, the deputy said through the gate intercom. I have a court order requiring your appearance in Atlanta Family Court in 48 hours. Failure to appear will result in a bench warrant. Dominic was standing beside Janelle in the security room. Don't respond. Let Marcus handle it. Marcus appeared at the gate within minutes. Took the papers. Reviewed them. Handed them back. This order is from Atlanta. Ms. Brooks has filed for divorce in South Carolina, which has priority jurisdiction based on her residency. This Atlanta order is invalid. Tell your client to file in the proper venue. The judge disagrees, the deputy said. Then the judge is wrong, Marcus said pleasantly. Ms. Brooks will not be appearing in Atlanta. If Mr. Montgomery wants to pursue this, he can do so in Charleston. Good day. The deputy left. Trevor stood at the gate for 5 minutes, staring at the estate. Janelle watched him on the security feed, her hands clenched.
He's not going to stop, she said.
I know, Dominic said. But neither are we. The nights, she couldn't sleep. Janelle had nightmares. Always had. But since Trevor found her, they'd gotten worse. She'd wake at 3 a.m. gasping, convinced he was in the room. Convinced he'd gotten past security. Convinced this time there was no escape. On the 3rd night, Dominic heard her from his study down the hall. He knocked. Waited. Janelle, can I come in? She opened the door. She was shaking.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to wake you. You didn't. I was working. He held up a book. I don't sleep much either. Bad habit from childhood. He paused. Do you want company? Sometimes it helps to not be alone. She should have said no. Should have maintained distance. But she was tired of being alone. Okay, she said. He sat in the armchair by her window. She sat on the bed. They didn't talk. He just read while she calmed down, his presence a quiet reassurance that she was safe. It became a ritual. When she had nightmares, he was there. Not intruding, just present. A reminder that she wasn't fighting alone anymore. The conversation that changed things. Week 4. Late evening. They were in Dominic's study reviewing legal strategy when Janelle asked, "Why are you really doing this? You said it was paying a debt forward, but it's more than that, isn't it?" Dominic set down the document he was reading.
Yes, he said.
"It's more. Tell me." He was quiet for a moment. "My mother died when I was 21. Cancer. But it was fast and aggressive, and the doctors said it was stress-related. The kind of stress that comes from years of trauma your body can't process." He looked at Janelle. "She survived my father. But she didn't survive what he did to her.
Not really.
It just took longer to kill her." "I'm sorry," Janelle said. "Don't be sorry. Just understand. When I see you fighting to survive what someone did to you, I see her. I see what she could have been if someone had helped her sooner. If someone had stood between her and him and said no more." His voice was steady, but his eyes weren't. "So yes, I'm helping you because I can. But I'm also helping you because you deserve what she never got. A real chance. Real protection. Real freedom." Janelle felt something crack in her chest. The wall she'd built. The belief that she had to do this alone. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "Don't thank me yet," Dominic said. "This isn't over. Trevor's not giving up. And when desperate men with money get cornered, they get dangerous." "I'm scared," Janelle admitted.
Good.
"Fear is smart. Fear keeps you careful." He stood,
Crossed to where she sat.
offered his hand. "But you're not doing this afraid and alone. You're doing it afraid and protected. That's the difference." She took his hand. "What if I don't stay afraid? What if I start feeling other things?" The question hung between them. Dangerous. Inevitable. "Then we deal with it," Dominic said quietly. "But not until you're safe. Not until Trevor is gone, and you're legally free, and you've had time to be whole on your own. I won't be another man who takes advantage while you're vulnerable." "What if I don't feel vulnerable?"
Janelle said.
"What if I feel stronger than I've ever been? Because of this. Because of you." Dominic looked at her with an expression she'd never seen before.
Want.
Restraint. Respect. All fighting for dominance. "Then we still wait," he said. "Because you deserve to choose me from a place of freedom, not gratitude. And I need to know that what we feel is real, not just circumstance." He was right. She hated that he was right. But she also loved him for being right.
Wait, she thought.
Love?
Oh.
Oh no. Trevor's desperate move. It happened on week 6. Trevor had exhausted legal options. The South Carolina court had granted Janelle a restraining order. The divorce was proceeding. Marcus had buried him in evidence of abuse. So Trevor decided to take what the courts wouldn't give him. He showed up at the estate at 2 in the morning. Not at the gate. At the back wall. With a ladder.
Drunk.
Desperate.
Armed.
Security caught him before he made it over. But not before he'd fired 2 shots. Wild, panicked, hitting nothing but making his intentions crystal clear. Dominic was there in 60 seconds. Janelle in 90. She found Trevor on the ground, security holding him, Dominic standing over him with an expression that promised violence. "You tried to break into my home," Dominic said. His voice was very quiet. "You fired a weapon. You endangered everyone here. Give me one reason I shouldn't end you right now." "She's mine," Trevor slurred. "She's my wife. She doesn't get to just leave."
She's not yours, Janelle said.
Her voice was steady. "I was never yours, Trevor. I was just someone you controlled. There's a difference." Trevor looked at her. "I love you." "No, you don't. You love owning me. You love controlling me. You love that I was too scared to fight back." She stepped closer. "But I'm not scared anymore. And I'm not coming back. Ever." "You'll regret this," Trevor said. "No one will believe you. My family, your family has already settled with your last victim," Marcus said, appearing from the darkness with a folder. "I have the NDA. I have her testimony. I have everything. And it's all going to the prosecutor tomorrow. along with tonight's attempted breaking and entering with a deadly weapon. Trevor went white. "You're done," Dominic said. "The police are on their way. You'll be arrested. Charged. Your family's lawyers can try to bail you out, but the evidence is overwhelming. And when the divorce is finalized, Janelle gets a permanent restraining order. If you ever come near her again, I'll know. And I won't be as civilized as I was tonight." The police arrived. Trevor was taken away. Janelle stood in the Charleston night and felt something she hadn't felt in 9 years. Safe. Finally. Completely safe. After the divorce was finalized 8 weeks later, Trevor pled guilty to attempted breaking and entering. 2 years probation. Permanent restraining order. He moved back to Atlanta. Janelle stayed in Charleston. She kept working at the estate. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Dominic had offered her a different position, estate manager, not housekeeping staff. Better pay, real responsibility, a chance to rebuild herself professionally. She'd taken it. And 6 months after Trevor's arrest, when Janelle had had time to heal and breathe and become whole on her own, Dominic asked her to dinner. Not as employer and employee, as two people who had survived impossible things and found each other in the aftermath. "Is this a date?" Janelle asked. "Only if you want it to be," Dominic said. "No pressure.
No obligación.
Just two people.
Dinner.
Conversation. Seeing what happens when we're not in crisis mode." "I'd like that," Janelle said. "Very much. The life she built." Janelle Brooks, she'd kept her maiden name, reclaimed it legally and permanently, ran the Kane estate with the efficiency of someone who understood the value of structure and safety. She'd also started a foundation for survivors, for women escaping abuse. She worked with Marcus to provide legal aid, with Sienna to provide security consultation, with a network of safe houses to provide shelter. She'd turned her survival into purpose. And somewhere in the year of healing and building and becoming whole, she and Dominic had built something real. Not gratitude dressed as love. Not protection confused with romance. Just real. Complicated and messy, and entirely theirs. On the 1-year anniversary of Trevor's arrest, they stood on the estate terrace, watching the Charleston sunset. "You know what's strange?" Janelle said. "What?" "I spent 9 years thinking I was weak. Thinking I deserved what he did, because I couldn't stop it." She leaned into Dominic. "Now I look back and think, I survived. I planned. I escaped. I rebuilt. I was never weak. I was just trapped. And those are different things." "You were never weak," Dominic agreed. "You were strategic. Patient. You waited until you had a real chance, and then you took it. That's not weakness. That's survival intelligence." "And now," she asked, "now you're free. And strong. And building something that helps other people become both those things." He pulled her closer. "I'm very proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," Janelle said. And meant it. "For the first time in my life, I'm proud of who I am." "Good," Dominic said. "You should be." They stood together as Charleston settled into evening, two people who had found sanctuary in each other and had built something stronger than trauma, deeper than circumstance, realer than either had expected. And Janelle thought, "I am safe. I am whole. I am home. Finally. This story has come to an end. Thank you all for following the story. If you enjoyed it, please write in the comments where you're watching from and share your thoughts about this story. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, as your support is important for me to continue creating content. Until next time.